Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's at a Pesach. I know everybody's busy getting ready for Pesach. Pesach is upon us in a couple of days. So let's learn something in the Tanya that the Alter Rebbe talks about the concept of what Pesach is really about. And what are we trying to accomplish? Pesach, not only as Jews do we celebrate, the holiday of Pesach once a year, but actually there's an obligation to remember the going out of Mitzrayim, the going out of Egypt every single day. It's one of the 6 remembrance that we say in our Siddur and our prayer book every day. We want to remembrance, as we say it, to remember the going out of Mitzrayim. Especially, we say the Shema in the Shema Yisrael, in the prayer of the Shema that we say every day. We say it every single day. The Shema at least twice a day. In the 3rd chapter of the Shema, we mention the going out of Mitzrayim, and actually, the sages really the obligation of the Shema to say the Shema, the prayer of the Shema v'ahavta, which is the first paragraph, v'hoyim shomaya, which is the second paragraph. These 2 paragraphs is a Torah obligation to say every day, because it says it actually in the Torah. You shall say it every single day, in the morning and the night. In the prayer of the Shema, we say when we lie down, when we rise up, that we're obligated to say the Shema. So we say that statement in both of the portions of Shema, both of the portions of the Shema. The first portion, which is v'ahavta, if you have a siddur, it's on page 42. The first portion of Shema, and so too in the second portion of Shema, it says again that you should say it. Then we have the third portion of Shema, which talks about the mitzvah of tzitzis, which ends off, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, I am God, your God. Asher tzeisecha esem eretz Mitzrayim. I am God, your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt. So we mentioned that the sages wanted to mention the concept of going out of Mitzrayim together with the first 2 chapters of Shema. Even though it's a separate obligation. What's the obligation of saying the Shema is one obligation, one mitzvah of the Torah, to say the Shema at least twice a day. And the mitzvah of going out of, remember, the going out of Mitzrayim is a separate mitzvah. Remember going out of Mitzrayim in every generation, as the Alter Rebbe will say, in every single day. So it's 2 different mitzvahs in the Torah. Why put them together? Why did the sages want to put them together in one package? That we would say the Shema, not 2 chapters of the Shema, but it would actually say the Shema, 3 chapters of the Shema every single day, at least twice a day. So this is what the Alter Rebbe is going to talk about why the going out of Mitzrayim is so connected that it's an obligation every single day to remember going out of Mitzrayim. It's not something just as a story that happened in history. Even, for example, the story of the menorah, the story of of Purim. It happened in history, and we celebrate it. You're not obligated to celebrate Purim every day. You're not obligated to celebrate Hanukkah every day. You're obligated to mention the going out of Mitzrayim every single day. What was so important to the concept of Mitzrayim to mention the aspect of going out of Mitzrayim every day? So really, the aspect of the Seder gives us the capability, really, to mention the going Mitzrayim every single day. So we're going to come in Rich Shem at the end of next Saturday night. We're going to sit all to a Seder, which then, as the expression is said, Ayomim ha'ela niskarim v'nasim, those days are remembered and they are done, because that's actually the day, the night, the day when we went out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, the 15th day of the month of Nisan. So that's actually when the day happened. And that gives us the capability and the strength to actually say it every single day. That every single day we remember the going out of Mitzrayim. Why is it important? Why is it so important to know that? Why is it so important to understand that? The story of the Ragachev was a great sage who once had a whole speech about marriage. When a person gets married under the chuppah and they make a bracha on the marriage, what is the meaning of the making of the bracha on the marriage? Do you get married once? Or actually, when you got married, the night that you got married, it happens every single day. So this great sage wanted to say that it's not something that happened once, but actually every single day is like you got married. So another sage met him a couple of days later and said, Mazel Tov to him. He said, what's the Mazel Tov? He said, what do you mean? Today you got married. According to your speech, every day we're supposed to say Mazel Tov because every single day is like you got married again. It's called in the Gemara terminology, it's called a pula nimsheches. It's like something that happens constantly. So that's actually the power under the chuppah. The power under that chuppah that we say Reyat Mekudesh, we get married. Now that power happens that every day you're married. From then and on, every day you're married. It doesn't make a difference whether you're living in the same house, whether your spouse is on the other end of the world. You're still married. Every day you're married. Not just, I got married, whatever, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, 50, whatever the date is. I got married today. It's as if I got married today. Every day you should say Mazel Tov to your spouse. Mazel Tov, we got married. Because it happens every single day. Every single day is a Tzias Mitzrayim. We went out of Mitzrayim 3,000 years ago. That's correct. And we're going to celebrate that concept in Mir Hashem coming up this weekend. It's coming this Motzei Shabbos, Saturday night. But the truth is, every single day we're going out of Mitzrayim. And this is a very fascinating chapter in Tanya. We did it already, but it's good to learn it again. It's the smallest chapter in Tanya, chapter 47 of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe in this small chapter explains the whole concept of Yetzias Mitzrayim, how we're supposed to feel the going out of Mitzrayim every single day. And not only that, but how it's connected to the Shema, the Chazal, the sages wanted that we should feel like we're going out of Mitzrayim every single day, that they connected it, they put it together with the Shema. With the concept of Shema Yisrael, which is a Torah obligation to say the Shema Yisrael every single day. So my friends, let's learn together a beautiful chapter of Tanya, chapter 47 of Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe is going to explain to us this beautiful concept. This concept of going out of Mitzrayim every single day. This is chapter 47 of Tanya. Let's learn the chapter together. V'hinei, so the Alter Rebbe says, B'chol dur v'dur. We say this in our Haggadah. We say this statement. In every single generation. Every single generation. Ubechol yoim v'yoim. The Alter Rebbe actually added these three words. In the Haggadah, when you're going to say it to the Haggadah to say the night, you're going to see the words v'chol dur v'dur in every single generation. And the Alter Rebbe adds these three words. V'chol yoim v'yoim. And he's not saying it because we actually do it. V'chol yoim v'yoim. Every single day. As I mentioned, you either mention it in the Shema itself, you mention the going out of Mitzrayim every single day, or you say it in the Sheish Zechires, the sixth remembrance of the day. You mention the going out of Mitzrayim every single day. Hayav Adam Liris Atzmai. Every single day. Now, this is a very powerful statement. that there's an obligation, because the Alter Rebbe says, since we put the Shema together, and we just like there's an obligation to say the Shema, which Shema is comprised of accepting yourself the yoke of heaven, and to love God, and the yoke of mitzvahs to take on every day. A Jew accepts on himself in the Shema, which that's a general theme of the Shema, is accepting the yoke of heaven and accepting the yoke of commandments every single day. We accept about ourselves the concept of I am God, your God, who took you out of Mitzrayim, took you out of Egypt. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, Chayev Adam Lidos Atzmai Ki'ilu Hu Yotza Hayoim Mimitzrayim. A person is obligated to regard himself as if he had that day, today, come out of Mitzrayim. So here the Alter Rebbe says, my friends, it's not the obligation to only do it on the Passover Seder. It's the obligation to feel like I'm going out of Mitzrayim today. Now, how can I say that? How am I going out of Mitzrayim today? I'm living in Boca. I'm not living in Mitzrayim. And not only am I not living in Mitzrayim, in a physical place called Mitzrayim, I am not living in any constraints. I'm Baruch Hashem free. I can do whatever I want. I can sit and learn Torah all day. I can do mitzvahs all day. I have my free will. So what is going out of Mitzrayim? The Alter Rebbe says it. He explains it. V'hi yitzias hanefesh alakis v'maiser haguf. Yitzias Mitzrayim today is the release of the divine soul from the confinements of the body. Now, this release is not to go on Chas v'Shalom, to leave this world. It means to release yourself from the serpent skin. Go out. I should go out of my own exile. Nobody's putting me in exile. There's no Pharaoh. There's no Egypt. Nobody's giving me any exile. I'm giving my own exile. I have my own bodily exile. And that I need to go out of my personal Egypt every single day. How do I break my personal bondage? How do I go out to my personal bondage? How do I leave the situations and the issues that I have today? I leave it very simple. In order to be observed in the unity of the light of love, I connect myself to godliness. I leave my worries. I leave my constraints and my headaches. I put it aside, and now I connect myself to God. That's it. That's what we're doing right now. Right now, by learning Torah, putting everything aside. Everything is not important, hopefully. Those that are sitting here on the Zoom and those that are listening to other places, they're putting everything aside, not doing two things at once. And they are focused in learning. That's it. That is going out of my Mishra de Chavir. That's going out of the serpent skin. I can be confused. I can be an aspect of a constant people bothering me, or things bother me, or have a lack of attention. Not that I can have attention and focus in the learning of what I'm learning right now is getting away from my nefesh habahamis. That's it. Close myself off from my animalistic soul. I'm not interested for the next hour, whatever. Next 40 minutes, already 20 minutes into it. I'm not interested in the next 40 minutes. I'm being focused. I'm going out of gullus. Because in an hour, I'm going back into gullus. My personal exile. How does one do that in a practical way? That the Torah gives you that capability. And that's the Shema. That is why a Jew needs to say the Shema twice a day, in the morning and in the night. A Jew needs to accept on himself the yoke of heaven. That means that a Jew believes everything comes from heaven. Everything comes from God. Nothing happens in the world without the Eibishter, God, wanting it to happen. That's it. Divine providence. Nothing happens in the world without God wanting it to happen. That's Kabbalah of acceptance of the yoke of heaven. I am the famous expression, Ano Avda de Kutshavich. I'm the servant of HaKadosh Baruch. I'm the servant of God. That's my focus in life. Everything else is all about that. That's I love the Eibishter with all my heart. That's the first part of the Shema. All the commandments when you command, it's on my heart. That's what's important to me. What's important to me is the Eibishter's commandments. That's what's important to me. Everything else will help me out in these commandments. If the Eibishter gives me success, I'll be easier. If the Eibishter gives me health, I'll be able to do the commandments. If the Eibishter gives me happiness, I'll be able to do it in happiness. But it's all basically to do the mitzvahs. Everything that I have in life is for that. That's a Jewish life. If everything I have in life is for something else, then you're the servant of some other master. That's the concept of Kabbalah's accept the yoke of heaven. I'm the servant of God. When I am a servant of a certain king, then I'm his servant. Everything is about the Melech. It's about that king. Everything I do in my life is focused on that concept. If I'm the servant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God of heaven, everything is focused on him. That's the importance of the Shema. The first part of the Shema is what's called Kabbalah's Eil Malchus Shamayim. That I accept in myself the yoke of heaven. In the Mishnah, Pirkei Avos, it says, you either accept in yourself the yoke of heaven, or accept in yourself the yoke of the world. You got that choice. Very interesting thing, because that's why you have in the world that these two entities in the world today, we have such a struggle between what's called the religious and non-religious. They don't comprehend each other. They don't comprehend each other because their missions and focus in life is two different worlds. It's two different worlds. A religious person, his focus is God. Everything is supposed to be, he's focused also in the world too, but his primary focus is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is the focus on God. And that's why it's a chil Hashem when a religious Jew profanes God's name. It's a real disgrace. Because here's a Jew that needs to be focused on God, and his life is godly, and that's his focus, and now he's doing something that profanes God's name. And therefore it's a disgrace, and therefore it's actually a disgrace if any Jew profanes God's name, because the world looks at a Jew as you are an entity to be holy. You're an entity which God made, that you should serve God. And how is it possible that an entity that was created and its focus should be on the service of God should do profane things and should do things that are basically a disgrace to the Eibishter? That's accepting yourself the yoke of heaven. That's what you have. You have no choice. You have no choice. Either you accept yourself the yoke of heaven or you accept yourself the yoke of the world. That's what it says in Pirkei Avos. Let us all choose the yoke of heaven. I want to be the servant of the Eibishter. I want to be the servant of God. There's an expression in the Hayom Yom, in the day-to-day of the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, wait a minute, if we become servants to God, and that's our focus, God will take care of the rest. We do what we're supposed to do, God will take care of what he'll do. And actually, that's in the Shema. The Eibishter makes a promise in the second chapter of Shema. The Eibishter says, you do what you're supposed to do, and I'll do what I'm supposed to do. You give me ruchnius, You'll bring godliness to the world, and I'll give you all the physical needs you'll need. You will not need nothing. That's the expression of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe, he say, the Eibush that God makes from yesh me'ayin, he takes something from nothing and makes it something. He makes gashmias, and we take gashmias and make it ruchnias. We take the physical and make it spiritual. God gives us the physical, we do this, we make the spiritual. That has to be the avodah of a yid. He has to go out of his physicality. He's got to go out of his physical constraints. Every single day. You can't just go out once a year. Yiddishkeit is not a once a year situation. It's an everyday situation. All of us, whether we're religious, not religious, it doesn't make a difference. Every one of us needs to go out of our physical constraints. We need to connect to godliness. That's our avodah. In the Shema, what do? In the Shema, we do one thing. When we strike Shema, we're in the person explicitly accepts and draws upon him godly unity when he says, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. That's it. Right away, right in the beginning of the Shema. The Lord is our God, the Lord is one. What does that mean? As I explained previously in chapter 46. Why was it called? You say in the Shemoneh Esrei, in the prayer of the Amidah, silent prayer, we say Elokei Avram, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. What does that mean? When you say it, it sounds like, God forbid, the three gods. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of one God. What does it mean that it is the God of Abraham? God. Oops, I think I froze. Okay, we're back. Sometimes I freeze. Whatever. So why is it? It's affecting my quality, it says. Your internet is low. Okay. So why is it that we say the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob? Because each and every one of them nullified, accept himself the yoke of heaven on their level. Abraham did the service through his level. He made God part of his existence. Isaac had Kabbalah, so accepting himself the yoke of heaven in his service. And Jacob accepted himself the yoke of heaven in his service. And that's why it says Hashem Elokeinu. Elokeinu is plural. Because the Eibishter, God wanted that each and every single one of us to accept ourselves the yoke of heaven, not like somebody else, because I'm not you and you're not me. And God wanted that I should break my physical reality. I should accept and say the yoke. Actually, it's called the yoke of heaven. It's like a yoke on an animal. Well, the yoke, take a cow, and you have to make sure it does the right thing. You put a yoke upon it. Same concept. I put a yoke upon me. I know who I am. I know my physical constraints. I know what I can, my positives and my negatives. I know exactly. There's no secrets. So what does it mean to accept the yoke? And even though I know that I am who I am, I know I have an animalistic soul. I know I accept the yoke of heaven. I put this yoke upon my physicality. I constrain it. Why do I constrain it? Because I have a focus. I have a mission in this world. It's not just a Wild West. I have a mission. I have a godly mission. The Rebbe spoke of the Lubavitch Rebbe's birthday on this coming Wednesday, the 11th day of Nisan. Actually, today, the 21st, March 21st, is my English birthday. You know, Jews can have two birthdays. They have a Hebrew birthday and an English birthday. It can be wished happy birthday twice. So what's a birthday? The Rebbe explained, what's a birthday? The Abish send your neshama down to the world. A birthday is a great celebration. You say, where do we celebrate a birthday in the Jewish tradition? What do you mean? We celebrate a birthday, Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim is the birth of the Jewish nation. We celebrate it every year. It's the birthday of the Jewish nation. It's when it's when God made the Jewish people of the nation. That's why on Pesach, on the Yontiv, we say, Ata b'chatanu. Today, God chose us such as a nation. On this holiday, on Pesach, the Eibishter chose the Jewish nation. Created a nation. Started the journey and the mission of Am Yisrael. And that's why the whole purpose of going out of Egypt was that they're going to receive the Torah 50 days later. And that's why we start counting the Omer. The second night of Pesach and Mir Hashem, we're going to start counting the Omer. The countdown to what? To Matan Torah. Countdown to the giving of the Torah. Which is the concept of the rules, the tools of this nation. So God created us as a nation before giving us any laws. That's the beauty of Am Yisrael. The beauty of Am Yisrael is we're a nation not based on laws. We're a nation based on God's choice. You're a Jew not based on laws. You're a Jew based on God making you a Jew. Anybody who tells you the opposite is not correct, is incorrect. Every Jew is a Jew because God made him a Jew. Through your birth, through the birth, that the way you were born in a Jewish by a Jewish mother, you're a Jew. Doesn't make a difference how holy you are or as unholy you are. And the Eibishter, God showed that by choosing Am Yisrael before giving them the Torah. Yeah, two mitzvahs, which is fascinating, truly fascinating, that these two mitzvahs, Dam HaMilah, the blood of circumcision, and Dam Pesach, the blood of the Korban Pesach, is something that I believe over 99% of Jews do, that they circumcise their children, and a very high percentage of the Jews keep do the Seder and keep the Pesach. Because those two mitzvahs were given before Matan Torah. Before they give you the Torah, they were given these two mitzvahs that the Jews would do before even going out of Mitzrayim, before even going out of Egypt. They did these two mitzvahs. And the Eibishter chose them based on these two concepts. He jumped over every house, all the houses in Egypt, because of these two mitzvahs. But ultimately, he gave them the Torah. And that is to, first of all, that's why the Shema is divided into two parts. The first part is accepting upon yourself the yoke of heaven. Accepting upon yourself God. A Jew believes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A Jew believes in God. Not only he believes in God as a concept, he believes Elokeinu, my God. God is my God. And that's just like God of Abraham. That Abraham accepted upon himself God as his God. And Isaac didn't accept upon himself God as Abraham's God, but as his God. And Jacob didn't accept himself, because he had a great father and had a great grandfather. That's why God is his God. No, he's his own God. He accepted himself God as who he was, as Jacob. So to each and every one of us need to accept it upon himself God as God, not because of somebody else or something else, because you accept upon yourself God. Just like God chose you, you choose God. We all need to choose God every day, not once a year, every day. Ask yourself a question when you're going to do something or you're not going to do something. Is this accepting upon myself God? Is God my melech? Is God my king? Have I accepted the yoke of heaven by doing this or by not doing it? What would God say about it? That's the reminder. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Shem Elokeinu, the Lord is our God, He's my God. He's not somebody else's God. He's not some holy rabbi's God. He's my God. So if He's my God, what would God say about this? What I'm going to do, or what would God say when I decide not to do? As explained previously in chapter 40, our God is understood the same way as the God of Abraham, and so forth, because he became nullified and absorbed into the unity of the light of life. That is Kabbalah. That I accepted myself the yoke of heaven. I nullify myself. I say to myself, what does God want? And if God doesn't want it, I say I can't do it. Or if God wants it, I do it. Because I accepted myself the yoke of heaven. Why do we say Elokei Avram? Because Avram merited to that. The union by reason of his works and advancing in his holiness by degree to degree. Now, most of us think Avram had an easy job. And we say, well, how can I be like Avram Avinu? Oh, Abraham was so great. Abraham was great, but it was not an easy situation. Don't think that Abraham had an easy situation. That's why we end off the blessing, Mogin Avram, the shield of Abraham. We don't say Isaac. Isaac had it much easier, and Jacob had it even easier, in a way. But don't think Abraham had such an easy situation. Abraham went against the world. He not only went against the world, he went against his own parents. Terah was an idol worshiper. Abraham had Nimrod, who was trying to kill him and actually threw him into a furnace. He didn't have this walk in the park. Abraham, in his relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, had many struggles. Inner struggles, family struggles, outer struggles, financial struggles, emotional struggles. It was not this walk in the park. So you're right. Many say, oh, I'm having these struggles. That's why we say, no. Remember Abraham. Abraham had these struggles too. Abraham struggled. He overcame his struggles. We say in ethics of our fathers, Asad and Nisyanis, 10 great tests God gave Abraham. It was not a walk in the park. It was not an easy situation for him, and it was a great struggle for him. And if you learn the midrashim, if you learn the story of Abraham, you'll realize that our struggles, my struggles, are nothing in comparison to the struggles of Avram Avinu, to the struggles of Abraham, what he went through to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to serve God. Abraham didn't have Publix, he didn't have Aroma, he didn't have all this stuff to keep Yiddishkeit, to keep his service to God. Not only that, he didn't even actually have the command of God himself. To all the commandments that Abraham did, it says, the Talmud says that Avraham Avinu kept the whole Torah. Nobody helped him. Everybody was against him. He just had his wife Sarah. They had each other. The whole world was against them. They were called Ivri. That's how the name Ivri came, the other sider. He overcame the world. He overcame the challenges of the world. He overcame his own challenges. The first commandment, Chassidus says that God tells Abraham when he's 75 years old, Lech lecha, go to yourself. Journey within yourself. That's what Abraham did. Abraham journeyed within himself. It was his own personal journey. Abraham realized that if he was strong within himself, the world will follow. And that's what happened. The world did ultimately follow. Abraham changed the world, not only for his time, but for history. And Isaac so did it, and so did Jacob. But Abraham had nobody to learn from. Abraham couldn't say, "Oh, but I have a father, I have a grandfather, I have a great teacher, I have everything he did himself. Self-made man, self-made person, self-made community. He was an unbelievable, which each and every one of us can do. As it says, Abraham journeyed, going on and on to the south. Abraham, it was a journey. It was not so the opposite. That's why the opposite of Abraham and Isaac. Isaac says Isaac didn't journey anywhere. Stayed in the land of Israel. Abraham, it was a journey. This was not a simple situation. We are far from the struggles of Abraham. Thank God, because nobody should struggle. Our struggles are really inner struggles. It's not the outer struggles. Nobody's fighting against us. Nobody is attacking us. We truly have free choice. But for us, the children of Abraham, for us, it's a heritage and a gift that he was given to us, the Torah, and us clothed within its will and its wisdom. Abraham didn't have the Torah. And the truth is, Isaac didn't have the Torah yet either, and neither did Jacob have the Torah. Can you imagine trying to imagine what God wanted and having such an inner conviction and inner connection that you would do the entire Torah without being told what to do? That shows on great self-rectification, self-development. We don't have that. We don't need that. We are told. We have Baruch Hashem Torah. And the Torah tells you exactly what it means to have Kabbalah sale. It tells you exactly what it means to nullify yourself. Get up in the morning, daven. Get up in the morning, put on tefillin. Get up, go and help somebody. Go and give charity. Eat kosher. Don't do negative things. You have a Torah. We each and every one of us have a Torah. And this Torah tells you exactly how to do it. So how can you compare yourself to Avraham Avinu, who did it mamish on his own? And you and I have all the tools. God gave us all the tools. That's all I need to do is use those tools. Use those tools. So that I don't use the tools is anybody's fault. I give you the tools. I gave you all the capabilities. You don't want to use the capabilities. You want to run away from these tools. You want to run away from the qualities and the all the great things that God has given to each and every one of us. Because with these tools, with this Torah and this mitzvahs, I can connect to a higher concept. So that's the beauty after Matan Torah. After Matan Torah, God gave us all the capabilities to be able to do the mission. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did the mission, but they didn't have anything. They did the mission without anything with it. Notice, saw a TV show, Survivors. They take a person, they drop him in the middle of a forest, and they tell him, go live. You can take one or two things. So it's a TV show. It's a reality TV show. How do and then if you can't do it, they'll ship you out. I've seen there was a real show that there's no shipping out. There's nobody there to help you, ultimately. Right? And you have to win $1 million to do such a kind of this adventure. Who would do it? Who would be one dropped off in the middle of a forest and go survive all the elements and everything that's going on with a knife and a chveisvas, and you're supposed to survive? Who would do that? Oh, I'm going to try to win $1 million. So I'll suffer for how many days, and I'll hopefully be they drop in 20 guys, and I'll be the last guy standing. Abish didn't do that to anybody. If the Matan Torah, he didn't tell them, okay, here, drop this into the world and said, okay, go figure it out. That's what Abraham did. Dropped Abraham into the world, go figure it out. He gave us Baruch Hashem a Torah. He didn't take us out of Mitzrayim and just let us hanging there. He gave us a Torah. Told us exactly how to survive this world. Not how to survive it, but actually how to develop it. How to make this world a godly world. Gave us every tool that we need. It's surely, I'm sorry, and he clothed within it the Torah. He clothed his will and his wisdom, which are united with his essence, being in perfect unity. Amen. It's surely as if he gave us his very self as it were. Why? Because since his wisdom and his will are one with him, through Torah study and performance of mitzvahs, we are able to take him as it were and unite with him. Now here the Alter Rebbe brings a beautiful interpretation of the Zohar. This is the chapter 47 is the smallest chapter in Tanya. It's one page. So we'll be able to finish the entire chapter. As the Zohar comments on the verse says, not long ago we learned this verse. This verse is in Parshas Truma, which is the portion of the building of the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan. It says, "V'yikchu li Truma." Very interesting word. V'yikchu li, you shall take for me. And Rashi says means li l'shmi. Because what does li mean? V'yikchu li, take for me. Take for the Beis Hamikdash. What means the v'yikchu li? So Rashi says li means you have to take for me, take it for the sake of God. When I bring to the Beis Hamikdash, I take it for the sake of God. It's called the Shema, for the sake of heaven. Comes the Zohar and says, no. V'yikchu li means you're taking me. Put a comma. V'yikchu li, you're taking me. Wow. That means that there's two things. V'yikchu li, you're taking me. God says, take me. And then give a truma, an offering. So the Zohar, according to the teacher Zohar, that v'yikchu li means you're taking me. What means truma, an offering? Isn't an offering a separate word according to this? So it should have said havelemema utruma, take me and give an offering. Two different things. Take me and give an offering. But the Zohar says no. By giving the offering, you're taking me. They come together. They come together. By giving the offering, you're taking me. God says, by taking this physical thing and doing a mitzvah with it, you're taking me. The yikhuli. You want to take me? You want to become part of me? Do the mitzvah. By doing the mitzvah, you're taking me. It happens at once. By giving the tzedakah, you're taking me. By putting on a tefillin, you're taking me. By making the bracha, you're taking me. Simultaneously. They both are the same. God and the Torah are truly one. Where the verse says me as an offering, we might be led to believe there are two separate entities, when in truth, there in the Zohar, look at this matter carefully. You'll see that the Zohar wants to say that the mitzvah and God is one, and therefore, by doing the mitzvah, you're taking God. That's a beautiful interpretation in the verse, the Zohar, Kabbalistic interpretation. of the verse, V'yikhu li truma. Take me with that offering. Take me with that separation. Truma actually means separation. To separate. What's a truma mean? I have $100. I separate $10 to give to tzedakah, to give to charity. That's a truma. Whether it's separating from your wheat to give to the Kohen, separating from your fruits to give to the Levi, separating from your product to give to the poor, separating from your money to give to charity. They're all a constant separation. That's a mitzvah. I separate this cowhide for a mezuzah. I separate this food for a mitzvah. It's all a separation. The way I separate the food for a holy concept is by making a bracha over it. When I make a bracha over food, I've separated this food. Actually, I make a bracha before I eat the food. I make a bracha after I eat the food. I have separated this food. This food is not just for the sake of eating. This food was for the blessing before, was for the blessing after. That is taking God. That's the way I take God. So to every mitzvah I do, I did Shabbos. I separated the week. I separated this day. I made it holy. I made Kiddush on it before. I made Havdalah on it after. That's like the bracha before, the bracha after. I've done this separation. Now this day, the day of Shabbos, became holy. In Mir Shem, I'm going to do the same thing on this coming week. I've actually separated Sunday and Monday. It's a 3-day holiday almost. Shabbos is Shabbos, and then I go Pesach, Sunday and Monday. On Monday night, I'm going to do Havdalah. I do Havdalah on Saturday night in the Kiddush of the Yom Tov. Shabbos is separate, and then I do Havdalah on Monday night for the Yom Tov, for the holiday, because Sunday and Monday, this coming up Sunday and Monday, is separate from the week. I took it as a separation. I made it a Yom Tov. I made it a holy day. I made Sunday, this coming Sunday, and this coming Monday is a Yom Tov. I've separated from the week. And therefore I make Havdalah after it. Because I've taken it, I separated it. By separating it, now Kabbalah says, you've taken God. The Yikhuli, you have taken the Eibishter. You have taken God. You have united yourself with God. And therefore we say, you have given to us, our Lord, with love. Because from your light of your countenance, you have given to us, O Lord. And once again, we stress the gift that is given to us. What is given to us? Hashem, you gave us you. You gave us yourself. When we do a mitzvah, you gave us yourself. You gave us you. Nothing stands in the way of the soul's unity with God. And his light. What stands in our way? The only thing that stands in our way is our will. Nothing stands in our way, especially today. After Rebbe wrote this, there was the Tsar standing in his way, in the Jewish way. Today, nothing stands within our way. Everything is there. The world is ready. Nothing stands within the way of a Jew to change the world. There's only one thing standing in the way. Me. That's standing in my way. me, myself, my will, my ratzon to transform everything is standing in my way. Because if the person doesn't want to do it, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. So why talk about the negative? The Alter Rebbe doesn't want to talk about the negative. He wants to talk about the positive. The second a person wants to, the second a person, when he says the Shema, which the first verse of Shema, he has to have kavanah. He says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. The Eibush is my God. God is one with me. I am going to break all my boundaries. I'm going to put aside my own will and desires. I'm going to put aside my animalistic soul. I'm going to accept myself the yoke of heaven." Bingo. Automatic. Automatic. Eibush comes one with him. Miyad. But immediately when he does so, I'm in Mela. It's automatic. You don't have to have much work. It's automatic. Automatic. They go together. The second I separate myself, I say I'm going to separate myself from this world. I'm going to separate, not separate my will. I'm going to separate myself from my desires. I'm going to do the will of God. Bingo. It's automatic. It's spontaneously. The ruach ruach va'amshich ruach. For the spirit evokes a spirit, awakens from above and draws about the spirit. And it's added measure by measure, drawn God to him. And the Alter Rebbe ends off. And this dynamic within a person's soul is going out of Mitzrayim. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. I can do Yitzias Mitzrayim, and I'm obligated to do Yitzias Mitzrayim every single day. And therefore the sages ordained the paragraph concerning the exodus of Egypt and to read it specifically during the reciting of the Shema. Even though it's a separate mitzvah. It's not part of the mitzvah of Kriyashma. In the Issa Gemara Baskim, as it's brought down in the Gemara. Really, the mitzvah of Kriyashma is the first two chapters. Because that, as I said, in the mitzvah of Kriyashma, you have the obligation to say the Shema every single day, twice a day. So that's the first two chapters of Shema. Accept yourself the yoke of heaven and accepting yourself the yoke of mitzvahs, which is the two portions of Shema, which were obligated in the Torah to say every single day. Suddenly the rabbis come and say, oh, let's add a third chapter. We want you to say with these two chapters, Vayomer, Hashem tzitzis, and the concept of going out of Mitzrayim. What are you mixing? What are you making a chont? What are you mixing the two things together? What are you putting the two things together? You know why? Because they are actually the same thing. Accepting yourself the yoke of heaven during the Shema and the exodus of Egypt is one thing. They're both the same thing. They're going out of the constraints of this world. That's why it says in Pirkei Avos, you don't live in a vacuum. Either you accept yourself the yoke of heaven, or you accept yourself the yoke of the world. One or the other. Choose your yoke. Don't think, oh, because I don't accept myself the yoke of heaven, I'm a free person. Not true. Either you accept yourself the yoke of heaven, or you accept on yourself the yoke of the world. A Jew should accept on himself the yoke of heaven. And the Mishnah says, if you accept on yourself the yoke of heaven, you won't have the yoke of the world, because God will give you everything you need. As I said in the beginning, God says, you do yours, I'll do mine. You accept on yourself the yoke of heaven, I'll take care of the rest. And that's why the Alter Rebbe says we say it every day in the Chazal, put it together, because the Shema and the going out of Mitzrayim, the first verse of Shema and the first two chapters of Shema, which is all the concept of Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one, Hashem Elokeinu. God is our God. He's not just the God, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem is God. No, Hashem Elokeinu, God is my God, which means I accept in myself the yoke of heaven. The Lord is our God, the Lord is one. God is united with me. V'yikhuli, God became part of me. That's going out of Mitzrayim. That is going out of Egypt today. I don't have to wait to go out of Egypt on Pesach only. I go out of Egypt every single day. B'chol dur v'dur, in every generation. B'chol yoim v'yoim, in every single day I go out of Mitzrayim. V'chein b'sei Parshas Yitzir Mitzrayim. And so, therefore, at the end of this, the third portion is the portion of going out of Mitzrayim. It says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. It's like the same expression in the beginning of the Shema. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Over there it says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. I am God, your God. And Gamkein Commissions Baal El, which is all about which I explained above. That's chapter 47 in Tanya, which is the chapter which the Alter Rebbe explains the concept of going out of Mitzrayim. My friends, on Saturday night is the holiday of Pesach, which is the going out of Mitzrayim in a real time. It's real time. We're going out of Mitzrayim real time. Yomer me'elu niskarim v'nasim. These days are remembered and they are done. Done. We don't just remember the going on Mitzrayim as something that happened over 3,000 years ago. It's actually happening again. Leil Shimurim. Eating the matzah that you're going to eat at the Seder is the bread of affliction. It's a bread of faith. It's the bread of healing. You have to eat that matzah. Hopefully, on that Seder night, when you're going to eat that matzah, you're going to have healing, spiritual healing, and physical healing. You're going to have healing because you're going to have the bread of faith. You're going to eat that matzah because it's a mitzvah. God asked us to eat the matzah on this night. You're going to eat that matzah because you're going to believe in the Eibishter that God took us out of Mitzrayim. Not 3,000 years ago, but he took us out of Mitzrayim today. That matzah is going to bring you faith. It's going to give you healing that it's going to be able to accomplish that for the next 365 days after that Saturday night, every day, you're going to take a step out of Mitzrayim. Every day, you're going to take a step out of your own exile. Every day, you're going to strengthen and intensify your faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in God, because you're going to accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven. You're going to accept upon yourself the yoke of mitzvahs. You're going to say on this night, the Eibishter, I am Avda de Kutchabricha. I'm the servant of God. I want to accept on myself the yoke of heaven. I want to leave all the constraints and all the struggles that I have in this world. I want to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And by connecting to God, I'll give you all your needs. I'll give you all what you need. Just like when God took the Jews out of Mitzrayim. When God took the Jews out of Mitzrayim 3,000 years ago, he gave them man min hashamayim. He gave them bread from heaven. He gave them water from a stone, the water of the stone of Miriam. He gave them all the necessities, whatever they needed, begashmius, uberuchnis. He gave them great leaders. He gave them Moshe Rabbeinu. He gave them Aaron HaKohen. He gave them a Beis HaMikdash. He gave them the Torah. We hope and we pray that the Eibishter God again does this unbelievable miracle of taking the Jews out of Mitzrayim. Ki meitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim. Just like the prophet promises us, Ki meitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim. Like the days I took you out of Mitzrayim, I will take you out again out of Gullus. I will take you again out of exile, because I will bring Mashiach.
Yeah.
I'll take you all out of Gullus and bring you La'atzenu Agdosha to the Holy Land, the Bias Mashiach Tzekenu, with the coming of Mashiach B'Meheda B'Yameinu. I hope that we are all committed to love the Eibishter, not to love him only with our emotions, but to love him in our physical way, because we're all a Mir Hashem. This coming Matzah Shabbos, gonna all together celebrate Pesach the way we're supposed to celebrate Pesach. Sitting down at the Seder, drinking 4 cups of wine, eating matzah, and eating maror, and whatever the Eibishter obligates, God obligates us to do, and God will do His obligation, take us out of this gullus, amar, this physical exile, and we'll all merit to celebrate the mitzvah this Pesach, not to say Lashana above Yerushalayim, but we'll all be this Pesach in Yerushalayim.
Amen. Amen. Let's do it.
Heida b'yameinu mamish. I wish you all a wonderful Pesach, a beautiful Pesach, self-understood that this Tanya share will continue in the Holy Land, not next Sunday, not the following Sunday because it's Yom Tov, but actually after Pesach, we'll all be in the Holy Land and learn Tanya again. I wish you all, my friends, a wonderful, beautiful Pesach. God bless you all. Make sure that you all have Pesach. If you need anything, make sure to call us up and connect with us. God bless you all. Have a beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful, happy.
Rabbi, can I ask you a question about Pesach?